Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and welcome to RT Recap, where I take a look at Rotten Tomato scores for upcoming movies and analyze them from basically a just average viewer perspective. And this week, I want to talk about Blumhouse Productions' Truth or Dare. This PG-13 horror film comes out this Friday, and man, it is just getting absolutely decimated in the Rotten Tomato score right here. So as we can see, it's sitting at a 28%, an average of 4.3 out of 10 with 25 reviews, 7 fresh, 18 rotten. For those of you who are new to this particular series, I like to look at the top 5 of each, both fresh and rotten, to determine a general idea of what to expect from the film, as well as to get a general idea of what reviewers are saying. Now, this particular film is from the producers of Happy Death Day and Get Out, and they're using, obviously, Get Out, being that it won Best Original Screenplay. Jordan Peele was nominated for Best Director. The movie was nominated for Best Film. And Happy Death Day, for basically a horror version of Groundhog Day, did really well. So they're trying to push that particular perspective again, and that's why those are right on the marketing. But let's take a look here at the general plot for what Truth or Dare is. Now, a harmless game of truth or dare among friends turns deadly when someone or something begins to punish those who tell a lie or refuse to dare. So it feels like Ouija. I'm not gonna lie, that movie was pretty horrible. It's one of those ones where it's like you're making a horror movie based on a game. I mean, is the next one gonna be like 7 Minutes in Heaven, and it's literally just like a horror movie in a closet, you know? But here's the thing. So the movie, this is what I find to be interesting. For something as simple as this concept, the movie has 4 writers: Gillian Jacobs, Michael Rice, Christopher Roach, and Jeff Wadlow. Jeff Wadlow also directed it. Now, if you don't know who Jeff Wadlow is, the last movie I think he made was Kick-Ass 2 back in 2013. So if you remember Kick-Ass 2, that was his last movie. And so that movie I thought was good. I actually really liked Kick-Ass 2, and I liked what he did with it compared to the comic in terms of adapting it. So I'm curious to see how this movie is, but ultimately nothing about this screams to me to run to the theater. And I think reviewers are saying the exact same thing. Let's take a look here at the fresh reviews, because I like to start with the fresh. So Robert Codger from Flickering Myth here says, despite not actually being scary and sometimes howlingly dumb, Truth or Dare is idiotic, intermittently smart, hilarious, fun, and could easily become the next big franchise for Blumhouse, giving it a 3 out of 5. Okay, listen, I'm just not gonna lie. I am not expecting that particular thing, but okay, let's think about this here. So Blumhouse is known for taking micro-budget films, essentially, and turning them into big franchises. The Purge, Paranormal Activity, I think the Annabelle stuff, that's all, but The Conjuring, that's all Warner Brothers. But they do these kind of smaller films, and they are able to turn them into something that can be a franchise. Jason Blum is insane good at that. I want to point that out. And so, okay, maybe there's something there worth taking a look at. Maybe my opinion will be changed by the time we get through these fresh reviews. Now, Dan Geyer from Chicago Daily Herald says, director Jeff Wadlow puts his impressively sympathetic actors through some grueling paces in a crisply edited tale that examines the notion that truth may not be all that liberating. And I wonder, just because I'm a person who keeps up to date on current events, and I catch, flaws in the narrative that the media puts out there. I'm wondering if that's going to be a part of this, if that's going to be a bit of a social commentary on the way we currently ingest and process news. Although, probably not. But then again, 4 writers. 4 writers, so anything can happen here. Matthew Turner from The List says, the film sustains its initial momentum and death sequences are subtly nasty, aided by some nifty sound design work. And that's ultimately good in my opinion. Because for one, when it comes to, well, anything, sound. That's it. Spielberg, I'm guessing I'm going to paraphrase, but famously said that a movie is, 49% what you see and 51% what you hear. And that's true for anything. We rely on our sense of hearing for almost anything, right? You want to know where something's at. We'll be able to identify it from the sound, or we're hearing where something's at. We'll be able to kind of identify. Whereas we give this is more important to us ultimately than our vision. And so when it comes to horror is always good on screen in terms of bloodshed, but then the sound that goes with it. If you're watching a horror movie with the sound turned off, it's nowhere near as bad as when you have the sound cranked up and blaring and you hear like the bones break and the blood squirt and the blood curdling screams. So if it's definitely aided here with some suitably nasty and good sound design work, then that could actually be pretty fun for a theatrical experience. I'm not going to lie. I'm starting to warm up to this movie a little bit. Donald Clark from the Irish Times says, "For all that, Truth or Dare is good fun. We are lucky to live at a time when we get endless quality horror, but there's always been a place for good, honest trash." And that good, honest trash is... I'm not gonna lie, Juwanna Mann comes to mind when I think of good, honest trash. It's a horrible movie, but my God, do I love it. You know, like that's a movie my friends and I watched a lot when it came out in theaters because we had it playing a lot and we watched it. You know, so yeah, sometimes you want to watch good, honest trash, and maybe this movie's going to do that. Again, they're really selling me on this one here. Jamie Rigetti from IndieWire, who's a top critic, says, "Truth or Dare doesn't aspire to groundbreaking heights, but it's got just the right mix of laughs and scares to keep viewers engaged with the ridiculous concept they signed up to watch, with a score of B-." Okay, so what I'm gathering from these top 5 is that this movie sets out to be what it is, right? It does not trying to sell you on something else. It's not trying to be social commentary. It's like kind of like Get Out without the push for making it a big experience. You know what I mean? Like Get Out was a simple premise, a good movie, but I feel like the social commentary push that they tried to make with that fell flat for me. Ultimately, because the movie didn't explore enough of it. Like in Get Out, they asked a question, why were they black? And then that was never really given an answer. And I know that was meant to probably be left ambiguous for the audience to decide on their own. But at that point, you could tell it was like trying to kind of push a message that didn't ultimately need to be there in what was already kind of a surface level, but a good thing. This movie feels like it's none of that social commentary crap, just good kills, ridiculous concept, but arguably fun. Now I'm actually pretty freaking intrigued. But this is just what the people who like it have to say. Let's see what people who don't like it have to say. Drew Deitch from Fandom here says, "Truth or Dare occasionally reaches the pinnacles of unintentional comedy, but it's mostly overflowing with tired horror tropes and unlikable stereotype characters." You find that a lot though in these movies. Right. Let me go back to Get Out here. Right. The characters in Get Out were arguably pretty stereotypical. Right. But still, the situations they found themselves in, even though they were tropey, they were able to work. Tropes and stereotypes are not always a bad thing if they're used inventively. Whereas some of the positive stuff was saying that they were used inventively, and as a result of that, the movie was a lot more fun. Perhaps that's just kind of where we are. Now, Courtney Howard from Fresh Fiction here says, "The gasser of a schlocky horror film should be only experienced on a Dare with an original score of D-." Ouch. Ouch. Damian Moreno says, "The truth of the film is that it will, in the not too distant future, only be watching, ironically, on some lost cable channel on a Friday night." And this is coming with a 4 out of 10 score. I mean, arguably, these kind of horror movies do end up, making their way to sci-fi in the middle of the night or, somewhere like that, maybe AMC or TBS or something. But they might be able to find a cold audience there. We've seen some of these horror films come out and fail in the box office, but find a home on video, because that's where honestly horror lives, is on the home video market. But we've seen recently that horror's been able to kind of come to the limelight in terms of the box office. Get Out, although Get Out was changed from a horror to a thriller. A Quiet Place is now being changed from a horror to a thriller, and that has a lot to do with the companies, the distribution companies that are trying to like push for Oscars. Horror movies will never win an Oscar, but a thriller could. I'm not arguing that here. I'm just anyway. Norm Gidney from Film Threat says, "Blumhouse's Truth or Dare is a first great dumpster fire of 2018. That's a harsh statement to make there. And then Connor Schwertfeger here. I'm messing that one up. I apologize, Connor. "Despite a few solid scares and set pieces, as well as a killer ending, Truth or Dare's embrace of cliche and lack of internal logic makes it stand out as lower tier Blumhouse affair." And that ultimately is kind of sad to hear, because Blumhouse, again, they've set this bar. And the bar that they've set is amazing to watch. I truly am impressed by Jason Blumhouse and what he's been able to take this small production company, this micro budget production company, and turn it into a serious contender for Hollywood. And so I'm very curious to see how things are going to play out with Truth or Dare. The negative reviews, I mean, are obviously pointing out what we all would expect from this kind of movie. You know, it's tired cliche, stereotype characters, stupid tropes, blah, 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 blah. It's typical standard fare. However, the positives point out some stuff that's actually really interesting. The good nasty deaths, right? Or subtly nasty deaths, as well as good sound design. That's actually a plus. That this fun, that it's got a good ending. It's definitely, you know, nothing more than what it's attempting to be. And to me, those are positive traits that lead me to want to go see this movie. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I definitely want to check it out eventually, because if it is any bit as much fun as even some of the negative reviews are even saying that it is, then it could be worth just the time to check it out. Again, this will probably come and go at a theaters, given the fact that it's opening up against Rampage and Isle of Dogs. Avengers is in 2 weeks. This is going to kind of go out, and it should probably be on home video around mid-June to early July. And at that time, I think a lot of people are probably going to check it out. But in the meantime, I'm intrigued. I want to know what you guys have to say about this, though. Is this the type of movie you'd want to see? The kind of movie you'd want to go and just, last showing on a Tuesday night, go check out because it's, nothing else going on and it's only like $5 or something? These are things I'm curious to know. Let me know in the comments. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This has been RT Recap with $3 Theater. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell because YouTube, they kind of suck with notifying people, and check back often for more content from me. In fact, if you want to see more content from me, you can do so right now.